What if I told you that the most talked about peace plan in the Middle East today isn't even being discussed by the people it's supposed to affect? Let me break this down for you. Here's a scenario where the US government is pushing a 15-point blueprint for Gaza, but the very country it's supposed to benefit, Israel, is flat out refusing to engage. And the kicker? This plan was championed by none other than Donald Trump, a man who's spent the last decade trying to rebrand himself as the peacemaker of the region. But here's the twist: Netanyahu isn't just saying no, he's saying no in a way that could destabilize the entire geopolitical chessboard. Let me explain why this matters more than you think. You know, I've covered a lot of Middle East politics over the years, but this moment feels different. The US is basically holding up a roadmap that says, here's how you end the war: Hamas lays down arms, Israel pulls back, and everyone lives happily ever after. But Netanyahu isn't biting. Why? Well, personally, I think it's because this plan smells like a trap. Let's be real, Trump's not exactly the poster child for diplomatic finesse. His deal of the century was more of a deal of the chaos, and now he's trying to revive that playbook. What makes this really interesting is the sheer audacity of it. Who's the US trying to convince here? The Israelis or the world? Because from my perspective, Netanyahu's rejection isn't just about politics, it's about power. If he accepts this, he risks looking weak to his base, but if he rejects it, he's painting the US as unreliable. That's a win-win for him, right? Let's talk about the bigger picture for a second. This isn't just about Gaza. It's about who holds the reins of power in the Middle East. The US has been trying to pivot away from its traditional alliances, but this plan feels like a desperate attempt to reassert influence. What many people don't realize is that Netanyahu's refusal could actually strengthen Iran's position. If the US can't get Israel on board, how does that look to regional players? It's like watching a game of chess where the king refuses to move, and the entire strategy collapses. A detail I find fascinating is how this plays into the upcoming Israeli elections. Netanyahu's opponents are probably licking their lips at this moment, thinking, hey, maybe we can use this to take down the Prime Minister. But then again, maybe he's playing a longer game. What this really suggests is that the US is out of its depth in this conflict, and the Middle East is preparing for a new era of chaos. If you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just a diplomatic snub, it's a wake-up call. The world is watching, and the message is clear: the old power dynamics are crumbling. The question now is, who's going to step up and actually do something meaningful? Or will we just keep spinning our wheels, waiting for a deal that never comes? One thing's for sure, this isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a much bigger fight for control, and I'm not sure who's going to come out on top.